Welcome to the Real Comic Heroes Podcast. Your adventure into the world of comic book movies starts here.
Greetings, citizens, and welcome to another adventure of the Real Comic Heroes Podcast. My name's Travis, and normally Patrick is here with me, but the opportunity for this episode presented itself just a few hours ago, and I jumped at the chance to do this, and there wasn't really enough time to work out, Patrick's appearance fees, contract negotiations, all that stuff, so I'm just going to go it alone. Not actually alone, because I am joined by an extra special guest who is going to tell us a little bit about his wonderful new project, Monkey King, a Chinatown Odyssey. Jerry Ma, it is a pleasure to have you on the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Travis. It's really cool to be here, actually.
This just kind of worked out, kind of fell in my lap earlier. Like I said, had the chance to kind of do this and talk to you about this comic book that you're coming out with, and you got a Kickstarter campaign for the whole thing, and I really want to find out more about that. But how are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm here in New York where things are starting to loosen up a little bit, so we're slowly crawling back to normalcy, if you will.
Yeah, no, that's good to hear. I mean, it's been a crazy year, and I get my second shot tomorrow as of this recording, so I'm looking forward to getting, slowly getting back into the normal real world. So,
but yeah, I expect to be out of commission for a good 20 hours.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
that's what I hear. Yeah, so yeah. Monkey King, a Chinatown Odyssey. What can you tell me about it? It's I know you got a Kickstarter campaign going for it. Tell me about it.
So the Monkey King is essentially like the first Chinese superhero, if you will. Growing up, as an Asian American, we don't get too many characters to look up to or to emulate, or you don't really get too much representation.
Sure.
So I happen to be a little bit older. I am 45 currently, so it's been a while for me. We had Bruce Lee, and then that was about it, right? And then since then it was like
Sure.
Bruce Lee and then Jeremy Lin. But the Monkey King was essentially like our Spider-Man, our Batman, all wrapped up in one. He's a Chinese mythical character. And it's been, you can just Google it. This is very easy.
Yeah.
The Monkey King gets rebooted 5 times every year. And I feel like every reboot, they focus much more on the action, and they try to make him much more of a martial artist. And I understand why. They give him more armor, polish it up, make him look cooler. But the truth is, the original story was actually the discovery of Buddhism. So the Monkey King is he's essentially like a trickster, and he's a real wise ass, to say the least.
Okay.
He is taken on a journey west from China to go to India with this monk, Tripitaka. And the monk's job is to keep Monkey in check, and they have to go discover Buddhism to bring it back to China to save China from itself.
Oh, wow.
So, of course, there's martial arts, of course, there's kung fu, and of course, there's a ton of action. But I feel like all the reboots kind of lose the real gist of that story. And in my reboot, I'm trying to bring back that magic and adventure aspect of it. And I'm actually putting them in Chinatown, New York now. Their journey west is going to be to San Francisco, Chinatown. Instead of, polishing up his armor and getting all this cool stuff, he's going to have new Nike sneakers to match his hoodie.
Nice.
And I just think it's a little bit more, it's a different take, one that I haven't seen done yet, at least, and I'm not saying I'm the first to do it, but I haven't seen it done yet. I'm really looking forward to doing it because I had one of the 3 things I got to do in 2020 was a solo art show at the Pearl River Mart Gallery here in Chinatown, New York. Pearl River is an icon of New York, and I had an art show there that featured the Monkey King in 80s, 90s Chinatown, New York. And people kept asking me why don't you do a book? And it was never really on my mind until the pandemic hit, until we hit lockdown. And then I
Sure.
realized I had all this time on my hands, and I just kind of cranked it out.
So is it a standalone graphic novel? Is it going to be an ongoing thing?
Well, it as is, it can stand alone, but
Okay.
I mean, just being honest with you, based off the success of the campaign, that'll determine if
Hmm.
there's another one or not.
Sure. Okay. I know I know it's set in, the modern, like you said, it's more modernized. You're modernizing this legend. Is it going to be like a road trip story because you are going from east to west coast, and then I don't know if you're going then back to east coast? Is it going to be like adventures across America and the shenanigans that ensue, or is it more about what takes place in those two central
Sure.
locations?
So, actually, this first story arc, if you will, essentially, it just takes place in Chinatown, New York only. It's about
Okay.
the monk Tripitaka. In my version, I've turned the monk into a female. So
Hmm.
she comes down to New York and she has to search for Monkey, Pigsy, and Sandy, the three main characters of this story. So this story will end with them getting on the subway and making their about to make their journey to the west.
Okay. And are those your cast of main characters? Are they based on the actual characters from the legend that
Yes, yeah,
you've kind of?
absolutely,
Okay.
yeah. Just that
Okay.
I've obviously, they, they're using all sorts of, like, one guy, Sandy, is in the original story. He is a
Hmm.
um, sea demon, and I've turned
Okay.
him into a guy that has like a fanny pack and a sling bag and
Yeah.
nunchucks, and he's like kind of a hipster beard and everything. Uh, Pigsy is actually an immortal deity, but I've turned in my version into like an Adidas wearing female character actually. And
Hmm.
then Monkey is just, he's kind of himself. He's the one that remains the most true to himself, but he's
Okay.
wearing Nikes and a hoodie.
I want to. I've got you sent me the preview that I was looking through, and you know, I think it's safe to say that this is more of a there's some fantastical elements to this. It's not quite real life New York. You've got characters with like animal features and things like that. So there's like that fantasy element. I guess tell me a little bit about that,
Sure.
about
Well,
turning this New York into like I said, into that fantasy element, bringing that in.
I mean, when your main character is a monkey and one of the monkey's best friends is a pig, you kind of, it's very easy to just make those two characters stand out from everyone. But
Okay.
to me, that kind of, signaled that I should probably start having some random animal people walking around,
It
uh,
was really cool, like flipping
just so
through
that they.
the. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, 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 no. Yeah, so I made a conscious effort to make sure that they didn't seem that strange walking around New York.
Yeah, it definitely, like as I was kind of flipping through the preview, none of it felt out of place. I wasn't like, why is there this on this page? Like it all felt like I bought into it right off the bat, and I think that might be the art style. It just really lends itself to making me believe that this is like this animated world. It just really totally worked. There was, I turned the page and you normally see these two, New York PD, mounted police officers, cops on horseback, but then like these two officers aren't on horses. I don't want to say what they're riding if you want to keep that like
Oh no, it's
you
okay.
know
Yeah, they're giant pigeons.
oh
It's all good.
yeah, they're giant pigeons, and I love that. And it just, on one hand, it was shocking because I hadn't seen that in the previous pages, but then on the other hand, it was like, yeah, that totally makes sense. Like, why wouldn't they just be riding these giant pigeons? It's just so awesome to see.
So, like,
Um,
yeah, one fun part of this for me is basically every building you see in this book is actually in Chinatown, New York. So,
oh,
including
nice.
that that prison, except
Mm.
I pumped it up on steroids and made it like 100 stories tall rather than
Sure.
like the 10 stories it really is.
Hmm.
But I I really made a pretty conscious effort to essentially make it my love letter to Chinatown, New York. As Chinatown is, I mean, I hope you know about all the rising anti-Asian sentiment going on right
Yeah.
now. So Chinatown is really suffering, and I'm sure every
Mm.
Chinatown, across the states is probably doing pretty poorly. But I can
Sure.
only speak to the one here in New York. Uh, so with that being said, I'm trying to also raise some money for small businesses here in Chinatown as well through this
Yeah.
Kickstarter.
We can go into that if you want to talk about how. I know that's part of your Kickstarter campaign, and your stretch goals are dedicated to that. If you want to talk about that now, that's
Oh, sure.
totally
Yeah.
cool.
So, I mean, actually, being in New York, I've been aware of the racism towards Asian Americans. It's
Mm.
been pretty heavy since January of 2020. Where I live, which is by Columbia University, and there's a lot of international students here, they were getting attacked regularly last January because they were wearing masks,
Oh
which
yeah,
seems kind of hypocritical to me now, as
man.
everyone
Yeah.
has to wear a mask. But as the racism has risen, I want to say back in early March, um, I decided to donate all the proceeds from my website to this GoFundMe page that helped stop Asian hate, if you will.
Hmm.
And I raised like $2,500, and that was really cool.
Yeah.
But after I donated as good as it felt to donate that money, it felt really hollow too, because like you don't really see anyone get help.
Yeah.
So, after speaking with a couple of guys that are helping me on this project, like Jeff Darrow and Jim Chung, they're doing some
Mm.
variant covers for me. And I got help from my friend David Soto, who's helping with the Monkey King logo, Alan Dorison, who is helping me do the video, and then there's Lisa Wu, who's helping me with some marketing stuff. They all decide, instead of them getting paid and going about the regular way, that they just wanted to donate money too, also to stop Asian hate. But like I said, it felt a little hollow just clicking a button and just
Yeah.
watching the money disappear. So I am going to quite literally be walking into small businesses in Chinatown, based upon the success of this campaign. I'll be giving $250 cash to like
Right.
each business I walk into. So like I might just walk into the ice cream shop, buy one scoop of ice cream for like $3, and give them $253 and be like,
Yeah.
"Please keep the change. Talk to
Nice.
you later." So it'll be a little weird, but I think it'll be pretty fun.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's great, and yeah, I hope that this will help with that. I do want to let's talk a little bit more about the book itself.
Sure.
One of the things I loved about flipping through the preview that you sent me was your use of the onomatopoeia. You know, you've got these panels with the text, graphically laid out of the sound effects, in just a beautiful way. And it reminds me a little bit of like Into the Spider-Verse
Oh wow! I
when
never even
Miles is
thought that.
like walking after he's gotten his powers and he's freaking out and he's walking down the street and he's like, it says something like, does everyone know, or something like that, and then it just big text appears on flashes on the screen. It says everyone knows, and then when he's falling and screaming, the words are trailing behind him. And you've got some elements like that in this book that are just really great. There's one scene in particular. There's like a can of soup is rolling, and you have the words roll kind of trailing behind it in a way I've never seen before. I just flat out loved. And I can tell that you're a graphic designer, and so was I. Like for a long time I was a graphic designer, so I really appreciate the hell out of stuff like that in this book. And it was funny because you kind of said, you sent it to me and you were like, yeah, it's not lettered yet. I was like, after looking through it, I was like, I kind of almost, I prefer getting a chance to look at it before it was lettered, because I took in a lot more of that stuff, and now I get to the story itself will be a little bit more of a surprise for me once I do read it. But for now, it was great to see the art, and especially that onomatopoeia, of that sound throughout several panels. Someone eating, and the panel is full of nom 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 letters and stuff, and it's just great.
Yeah, I hate to name drop because it's going to seem like I'm name dropping right now, but I'm very fortunate that I have a close friend named Cliff Chang.
Yeah.
And for a little while, I was splitting a studio space with him in Brooklyn together with him. And this is when I was doing my first Kickstarter book, which was called Legend. And, I'm a graphic designer, illustrator. I'm not like Cliff or anything. So I had the privilege of sitting next to him and picking his brain. And he kept telling me, like, you really need to take advantage of your graphic design background and start using some more of the design elements in your work. And that kind of hung with me for so long. And even when someone tells you, sometimes it just doesn't click. Like, I didn't understand what that meant until I started this project, the Monkey King. And it just kind of came together. And then finally I was like, oh, Cliff, that makes so much sense. I gave him a call. I was like, it finally came together for me,
So with the Kickstarter campaign itself, like, do you want to talk about the different tiers that people like the tiers that people can back, I guess is the best way to talk.
Yeah,
like,
what
do they get at each tier? Or you don't have to talk about all of them if you don't want to, because I'm definitely going to link all of that information, in the show notes, of course. But
well, I mean, I'll talk about the obvious ones, which are, even whether or not you like the Monkey King, whether or not you like my work, I think it's going to be very difficult to not like Jim Chung and Jeff Darrow's work. So getting to see their covers, I mean, they are amazing. I'll have to send you previews of those separately right after this. But I'm obviously going to have variant covers that you can choose from, Jeff or Jim's cover, or you can get
which I have to say that's really not cool, because like Jim Chung, I love Jim Chung's art in like Avengers and stuff, and that's what I think of with Jim Chung. And then Jeff Darrow, like, I've recently gotten into his stuff because I just read Transmetropolitan last year and fell in love with his covers. So, you're going to make me choose like which one I want? Like, that is not cool, man.
Well, there will be a reward level that you can get.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go. That solves that.
And but even cooler too, I'm going to make some art prints of each cover.
Nice.
And also the subway illustration that I had. And, we're going to have some tiers where you can pick up some of the original artwork, commissions, all the basic comic Kickstarter rewards. But to me, the thing that will separate this from most campaigns is Jim Chung and Jeff Darrow.
Yeah. Oh, man.
I mean, those guys are, I think they're heavy hitters, to say the least.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay, so this is, Real Comic Heroes. We're primarily a comic book movie podcast. So when Hollywood comes, throwing money at you to turn this into a movie, like who do you want cast in the lead roles?
Well, so first, I've actually have thought a little bit about this, just because with the Monkey King, it does, it kind of evens the playing field for indie guys like such as myself. It is a property that people recognize, and believe it or not, I've actually talked a little bit with some people about some animation potential opportunities for it. And it's hard to say who to cast now, of course, but I would, I might be biased, but I have a good friend. His name's Parry Shen. He is the star of the movie Better Luck Tomorrow, and he's on General Hospital. And he's kind of a snarky wise ass, just in real life, I mean. And I just feel like he would be so good for the Monkey King.
Yeah.
I can't help but want Missy Elliott to play Pixie.
I could see that. Yeah, I kind of got that vibe.
I just feel like I know that's just like a pipe dream, but man, she would be awesome.
Yeah.
Those are like really the only two names the two voices that I hear very clearly in my head. But
it's interesting that you talked about like animation, because I think it's something about the way you've drawn this that I can almost see it animated when I was looking through the panels. Like I can picture how a character would get from, panel A to panel B, like, because it almost has that animation style to it in a way that I do think would lend itself really well to animation. So I think that would be a really that'd be a no-brainer.
Travis, I'll let everyone know you said that.
Oh, let's see what else. You answered several of my questions, so I gotta go through and make sure I.
Well, so the Monkey King, like I said before, it
Yeah.
is a Chinese mythical story. But
Mm-hmm.
what kind of inspired this as well was when I was setting up the art show, hanging up all the artwork. Some of the younger people that were helping me from the gallery, they were of Asian American descent, and I want to say, when I say younger, they were probably ranging from around like 18 to 25, and
Okay.
they've never seen or read The Monkey King, which was kind of hurtful to me, because
Oh
all
yeah.
the reboots really are, I hate to say it, but they're pretty bad. It's
Mm.
kind of not worth watching because there's so many different movies. I'm pretty sure if you go on Netflix, you could just hit The Monkey King and like you'll get like 10 different options to watch, or on Amazon Prime even.
Right.
And I was telling them about this version, how I thought it'd be cool to put him in New York and give him sneakers and make him look a little more just up to date, if you will.
Yeah.
Because I do feel like Chinese cinema, and you might be able to be the perfect person to respond to this, Travis, but I feel like most Chinese films nowadays, even the newer ones, they keep tending to go back in time. I feel like Korean film is very cutting edge, and they're just going forward. They're not
Right.
really sitting on their laurels and looking back, just trying to dig up more history. They're just like, whatever, we're going to make a new zombie movie and it's going to be cool. We're going to
Sure.
Whereas with Chinese films, they keep trying to make period pieces, and they're great, but I noticed that they're losing some of the younger viewers.
Gotcha.
So I thought, and then when they had seen my version of it, they were a little more interested, and they said like, it's definitely something they'd rather see instead of just another kung fu movie, if you will.
Sure. I mean, yeah, it seems really smart to take this legendary story and set it in a modern setting. And I can't think of any modern Chinese movie or movies that are set. Yeah, anyone I can think of, it's set in feudal times or definitely set in the past. So
hopefully we'll be talking about this film in a couple of years, Travis.
absolutely, yeah. Is there anything else you want to let our listeners know about? I mean, like I said, all the Kickstarter information will be in the show notes, so don't worry about that too much. Anything you want to hit?
I mean, it's hard being an indie creator in general, and Travis, I'm sure
Yeah.
you can, you can agree with me on this. But sometimes, give something new a shot. I understand the love for Spider-Man and Batman and the X-Men. I love them too. But, I think it's nice to give new things a chance and to see what other people are doing out there. If not this project, then please I hope, if anything, that this project might open up everyone's viewpoint and let them see other independent projects and not think so poorly of them. Like there's a lot of talent out there. And I do hope people start taking it a little more seriously.
I think that's a great message, and I'm definitely guilty of going more mainstream with my
there's nothing wrong with
comic
that.
book
There's
buying
nothing wrong
purchases.
with that.
Yeah. I'm definitely very excited to check this out when it I guess I should say it launches is it Monday the 3rd?
May 3rd, 11 a.m. Eastern time. And
so this I'll try to get this up right away. So hopefully if you're listening to this, you've got this in front of you, but it's going to run till what
June 4th.
June 4th. Okay, so you got some time to back this project. It definitely seems very worthwhile, and I'm looking forward to it. So, where can they find you?
Well, I guess Instagram is probably the easiest. That's when I I am not very social media savvy by any means, but Instagram is definitely my go-to platform, if you will, and it'll just be Epic Props, which is EPICPROPS. That's just happens to be my website and my Twitter handle and all that.
Well, very cool. I'm really happy this came together. I really enjoyed talking to you.
Yeah, Travis, thanks so much for taking the time out. I know this was pretty quick and everything.
No, I'm like I said, really glad it came together. So yeah, I guess just one more time, we want people to check out Monkey King, A Chinatown Odyssey. And yeah, Jerry, thank you again for joining me.
Yeah, it was great to be here, man. Thanks a lot.
All right. So like we always say, stay safe out there, citizens.
Thanks for listening to the podcast. Find the show on Facebook and Twitter at Real Comic Heroes. All music and audio are the property of their respective creators.